Our movie begins with a detective named Bowden who is telling a story his mother told him a while ago, which is that the devil exits on earth to punish sinners before taking their souls. This devil takes on human form and waits for these sinners to gather in one place so he can blend amongst them. His mother said that the devil always appears in any location after a suicide incident and then he forms as a human to start his mission. Later, we witness a suicide case where a car is hit hard by a falling body from a tall building. The impact is so strong that the car moves from its place. Then we see Detective Bowden sitting in a restaurant with his colleague discussing the murderer who killed his entire family and how he hasn't been able to catch him since then. His friends suggest he hand over this case to someone older. Afterwards, we see Bowden investigating the suicide incident. When he looks at the hand of the suicide victim, he finds it holding onto a rosary, confirming it was indeed a suicide because if it were a crime, he would have held onto something to defend himself. He starts looking around the area and discovers that the man jumped from a tall building and the car moved due to the impact. He locates the building where the suicide happened. Then we see 5 people inside an elevator in the building, each going to a different floor. There's a security guard named Ben who is forced into the elevator because he needs to deliver an important document to someone on the upper floor despite having claustrophobia. Suddenly, the elevator breaks down. At that moment, the security officer discovers that elevator number 6 is malfunctioning. They call a maintenance worker named Dwight to fix the problem. Meanwhile, someone from the security office tries to communicate with the people stuck in the elevator, but they can't hear anything he says. He tries to reassure them and informs them that the maintenance worker is on his way. He tries to use his phone, but there's no network, so he borrows a phone from a woman named Sarah and calls someone from the office, but suddenly the call gets disconnected. After a while, Ben starts feeling tired, especially when the light flickers, so he grabs the old lady next to him who thinks he's harassing her, but he tells him that his brother once locked him in a coffin for 6 hours, so he's afraid of tight spaces. Then, a guy named Tony opens a ceiling hatch for Ben to breathe. Ben considers escaping through that opening, but they tell him it's impossible. At that moment, Dwight notices there is no malfunction in the elevator and informs them he will check out what's going on. The light starts flickering and returning in the elevator. One of the security guys, Ramirez, is staring at the monitor displaying what's happening in the elevator, noticing a strange face appearing. Then the lights completely go out and suddenly Sarah gets hit. When the lights come back on, they find her lying on the ground bleeding from her back, claiming that someone pulled her by her shirt collar, pushed her, and bit her. At that moment, blood appears on the jacket of a guy named Vince, and he tries to cover it up. But Ben notices the blood on Vince, and when they ask him, he claims that Sarah fell on him and says she did it to herself. Then the security office sees Sarah's wound and realizes that she is in danger, so they decide to call the police. By that time, Bowden was close to the building because the suicide happened in the same building, and he decided to investigate the situation. Ramirez informs his friend that he saw something strange on the security camera, but his friend tries to reassure him, saying it's just random glitches in the screen. However, Ramirez is convinced that the people in the elevator are in danger. At that moment, Tony and Ben try to open the elevator door, but it's too strong, and when Vince tries to help, they stop him. Then Bowden arrives at the security office and assures the people in the elevator that he will help them. Ramirez informs Bowden that he saw a strange face on the screen, but Bowden doesn't pay much attention to his words. Bowden asks the people present to put their ID cards in front of the camera to identify them, but the camera is weak and doesn't capture well, so he checks the reception log to know who these people are. At that moment, the lights goes out in the elevator and Sarah imagines the appearance of everyone with them dead and soaked in their blood. Suddenly, they hear a banging sound and the elevator mirror shatters. When the light returns, they find Vince covered in glass and dead. Then Bowden goes to see what's happening and confirms that it's a murder, and Ramirez insists that it's definitely the devil's doing, but they don't pay attention to him. Bowden focuses on the incident and suspects that Ben, discovering that he had previously caused someone to be hit with a baseball bat, putting them into a coma. Bowden sees a note coming out of Vince's pocket, so Tony retrieves it and brings it close to the camera, allowing Bowden to identify the company Vince was associated with before. Before doing so, Bowden goes to the 35th floor and enters the place where the suicide incident happens. There, he reads the note left by the suicide victim stating that he heard the footsteps of the devil approaching him. The fire rescue team arrives to rescue the trapped individuals and tries to open the elevator, but they can't. Tony tries to fix the elevator from above, but they suspect he's trying to escape, so Ben restrains him, saying they will stay there until everyone gets out. When Bowden reaches the company, he finds out that Vince was a major scam artist, causing many people to lose their money, with one of them committing suicide. It's possible that one of the scam victims killed him. Then Bowden goes to the security office where Ramirez, who saw it on the screen, tells him that it's all the work of the devil. At that moment, Bowden takes out a message from his pocket, reading, "I'm sorry," realizing that the one who killed his wife and son in a car accident left this message and ran away. Then Dwight tries to descend via a rope from above, but suddenly he falls onto the elevator and dies. The security officer tries to contact the maintenance worker, but Dwight doesn't respond. So Bowden goes to the roof and finds Dwight's body lying on the elevator. He decides that the wall in front of the elevator needs to be demolished to get the people out. Then the lights go out again in the elevator, and when they come back on, they find that the old lady hanging. Tony tries to bring her down. At that moment, the police talk to them through the intercom and ask them to raise their hands. Then a police officer comes and tells Bowden that Sarah has a criminal record, having committed 3 extortion cases with wealthy people, and she was released from custody 10 years ago because she married a wealthy man. Then they realize that Ben is associated with her husband's security office and might have pushed him to kill her. Then the lights go out again, and when they come back on, the police are sure that Ben is the killer. They ask them to use their phone's flashlights, but suddenly the lights are drawn away from them and they hear a banging sound. When the lights return, they find Ben dead on the ground. At that moment, Sarah and Tony grab glass from the ground, each threatening to kill the other. Bowden tries to calm them down and takes the glass from their hands. Suddenly, the lights go out again, and when they come back on, Tony finds Sarah lying on the ground bleeding from the glass shards and unable to breathe. At that moment, Tony's fiancé arrives and informs the police that he had a job interview and hid his toolkit bag because he couldn't take it to the interview. Tony tries to help Sarah, and the old lady wakes up again looking terrifying and tells Tony that his turn has come to pay the price. Then Tony recalls a time when he was drunk driving, causing an accident that killed a mother and her child. He kept drinking without helping them, leaving a note saying, "I'm sorry." At that moment, the old lady tells him that he must die, but the firefighters cut the elevator cable to bring it down to the ground floor. Then all the lights go out in the building. The police manage to reach the elevator after everyone inside it except Tony and the old lady have died. Afterwards, Bowden takes Tony with him to prison because of the accident he caused. And that's it. If you like this recap, hit like, share, and subscribe to our channel to keep seeing content like this one. If you have any requests or thoughts, drop them below in the comment section, and we will see you at the next one. Peace out!